Good morning, everyone. I am Marco Ferraro, National Contact Point for the European Research Council, Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions and Euratom programs in Horizon Europe. I warmly welcome you to the event, turning breakthrough research and innovation to the market, Horizon Europe, ERC Proof of Concept, and European Innovation Council Transition scheme. The objective of today is to see what are the similarities and how to maybe combine the two calls, the two schemes, even though they are part of different Horizon Europe programs. Before I will give the floor to the speakers from today, I want to give you some information about the EIC project in the framework of which the event is organized. Indeed, the event of this morning is organized by the project Access to EIC, which is the network project of EIC, European Innovation Council, National Contact Points. The project is coordinated by APRE and is a network of 16 partners. And the main purpose of this project, of this network, is to support applicants that want to apply to the European Innovation Council calls of course, in the framework of Horizon Europe. What are the two main aims of this project, the Access to EIC network, is to improve, on one side, to work on the skills of national contact points, so to give them more, let's say, skills, competencies on the EIC programs, and to identify all the good practices to promote transnational cooperations among national contact points, and also try to improve the quality of the EIC, European Innovation Council proposal presented in the EIC schemes. Few words about this project. Just want to add that, of course, this project do not only target national contact points, but there is a huge part dedicated to applicants. Indeed, this is the structure of this project, Access to EIC, composed by 5 work packages, and there is the work package 3 toolbox that is fully dedicated to EIC applicants, to all those researchers or institutions that wants to apply to one of the EIC funding schemes. So what are the tools that the project can offer to applicants, meaning researchers and, of course, also institutions? Here you can see a few examples of tools, documents that the project prepared to help applicants to apply to the calls. There are fact sheets, documents for each of the EIC calls. There are documents dedicated to the EIC Pathfinder, fact sheets. There are also fact sheets dedicated to the transition scheme and to the accelerator scheme. Here you can see some examples, just some highlights, but of course there are on the website, which is access to EIC.eu. You can find it in the bottom of the presentation of the slide. You can find more documents, more helpful tools to prepare a EIC project. Here, as I said, some highlights. One document regarding the EIC transition, how the evaluation process works. You will find a testimonial of a successful applicant. Another fact sheet, another document dedicated instead to the accelerator scheme, which is an annotated pitch deck guide for the short proposal, because one part of the interview, in one part of the interview, you will be requested to give a short pitch. Last but not least, there is also a fact sheet, a document dedicated to the EIC Pathfinder Open. Again, with an experience with a document written with the EISMEA, the agency which is responsible for the implementation of the EIC. I'm about to conclude my presentation and to start with the agenda of the day with the details, contact details. So if you are interested to know more about this project that, as I said, has a huge part dedicated to you, to applicants, to people that are, to researchers and institutions that are interested in presenting an EIC project. Here it's the main contact address and the main contact person, which is my colleague Valentina Fieroni. So if you need further info, please do not hesitate to write to her. You can find also all the contacts of the social media of the project, Twitter and LinkedIn. Again, as I said before, at the bottom of the slide, you can find also the website where you can also find the documents that I described in the previous slide. So this is all for me. I think we can start now with the agenda of the day. But first, I would like to thank again all the speakers that will talk today. We will have two speakers, two representatives of the ERCEA, the ERC, the European Research Council Executive Agency. We will have a presentation regarding the ERC Proof of Concept scheme in Horizon Europe by Anna Pelagotti, the policy expert of the ERCEA, the ERC Executive Agency. And then for the Q&A part, also the co-coordinator of the Proof of Concept scheme will participate, Line Fredslund-Völkers. Then we will move to the EIC part, and for this to explain us better which are the rules, the eligibility criteria of the EIC Transition and the Business Acceleration Service, it's a pleasure to have Marco Giorgini from the EISMEA, the European Innovation Council, and SMEs Executive Agency. Last thing before we start, as you saw from the agenda, there are 3 Q&A sessions. So after each presentation, we will have a moment dedicated to you for your questions. And to do so, please connect to slido.com, slido.com, and write in the middle of the page. You will be able to write the code in order to access this event, which is ERC EIC. You can see now it's at the bottom of the screen. You can see the code is down there. ERC line EIC. So that's all for me for now. I would like to leave the floor to our first speaker of the day, Anna Pelagotti, which will explain us how this ERC Proof of Concept scheme works and what are the eligibility criteria. So please, Anna, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. I will now start sharing screen so that you see my presentation. Just a second. So in the meantime, if you tell me whether you see this or not, that would be helpful. And in the meantime, I can perhaps say a few things about myself. I'm a seconded national expert at the ERC. In fact, I'm a principal scientist at CNR already for 20 years. And before that, I was in Philips doing research in Philips in the Netherlands. And now, as I was saying, it's 3 years that I am at the ERC. So I suppose I have a bit of a round background. So I hope I will, I mean, I have some knowledge on the ERC, of course, but indeed there is also my colleague who is perhaps even more able to answer specific question if you have, as I'm mainly working at ERC in the strategic, domain, let's say. And this is also why I would like to start this presentation with a little preamble of what is the strategic aim of the ERC. So what is the ERC mission? As you know, the remit of education is research is not an exclusive competence of the EU. In fact, it's an exclusive competence of the member states. But the EU, for a long time already, has been interested in supporting collaborative research and, in general, research at the EU level, and especially because there is let's say, the hope that this will increase the EU competitiveness. And this is always, you always find this, and also the EIC and all the actions and the main framework program have this in the back of their heads. Let's say this is also the main aim. The ERC was created with a different mission. In fact, was created in 2007 and FP7 not so long ago to reinforce excellence, dynamism, and creativity of the European research. You've probably heard of the European paradox. So the idea that in Europe we are very good at doing research, but in fact we're less good at translating this into innovation. I'm sure you've heard a lot about this. So the ERC as a mission, it's not involved, let's say, in translating in research into innovation, but more in supporting frontier research. And indeed, the idea to support excellence in frontier research through a bottom-up, so any topic is welcome. It's individual based, so individual grants, and it's a pan-European competition with the idea to indeed nurture the European research environment as a whole. And of course, there is scientific freedom, so scientific excellence is the sole criteria, and then no consortium needs to be involved, are not involved, and as I was saying, bottom up and so on. What is the ERC structure, and what's the relation with the ERC Commission that funds all of the other research supporting activities, research and innovation supporting activities, is that the European Commission provides the financing through the EU framework program, but also guarantees autonomy of the ERC. The ERC, the European Research Council itself, is composed by 21 researchers, and they are what they do, in fact, is they indeed establish the annual work programs, so including the call for proposal and the evaluation criteria. And this is relevant because indeed, you'll see they've decided for some main grants, some main costs, but now already from some years also for the PoC, the Proof of Concept that we're going to introduce today. So the main grants you probably know. The Starting Consolidated Advanced Grant, Synergy Grant, they're main grants supporting frontier research, are very generous grants. And this is the bulk of the activity of what is done at the ERC. And now we of course know that apart from the actual results of the single projects that are actually funded by the ERC, we also have a number of additional elements, additional benefits that come from publicly funded research. And you see, for example, the increasing stock of useful knowledge. So the supply of skilled graduates and researchers, the creation of new scientific instrumentation and methodology, development of international peer networks, a number of this. So we know, and we are, the idea is also that increasing the competitiveness of Europe doesn't only pass through translation into innovation. There is an environment to be nurtured, and this is what is also among the aims of the frontier research that is funded at the ERC. But of course, the idea is also that ERC-funded ideas should not miss future commercial opportunities and societal benefit. And here comes into play the proof of concept grants. So the proof of concept grants are much smaller. They are, you will see, it's 150,000, so much smaller compared to the main grants. And the idea is to help bridge ERC grantees, to help them to bridge the gap between their research ideas and social or commercial innovation. So also social innovation, because as I was saying, the ERC covers the whole range. It's not only technical research, it's also social humanities and so on. So indeed, how do we do this transfer towards innovation, translating results into application? Of course, it's challenging. It's very challenging. So we were talking about the Eurpean paradox, the fact that it's difficult to translate research into innovation. In fact, there is a clear knowledge that the testing, validation, and demonstration phases struggle to attract private or public funding. And this is why also the ERC decided to introduce this instrument, the PoC, to help bridging the gap. But of course, and the idea is to promote this for those new ideas, for these discoveries that have been funded, have raised during specifically the ERC fundamental research projects. So what does it mean to bridge the valley of death? So as I said, on one hand, there are the ERC funded ideas. On the other hand, there are the marketable innovation and this valley of death. So the initial more difficult, and the PoC instrument by itself will not solve the problem, will not bring the researcher from one end to the other. So in fact, also the phrasing from Horizon Europe to from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe reflects this understanding that had happened. And you will see there are different. It is phrased, the objective of the PoC is also phrased a little bit different. And indeed, after 12 years, the PoC remains closer to idea generation than to innovation. So what is the new phrasing? So as I was saying, the size remains the 150,000. The duration is also still 18 months. But the phrasing now says that the objective, the frontier research that often generates radically new ideas, which drive innovation and business inventiveness and tackle societal challenges. It was before, it was like the frontier research was generating opportunities for commercial and societal application. This has been toned down. And also before it was like the PoC where to verify the innovation potential of ideas, and now it's facilitating exploration of the commercial and social innovation potential. So in fact, in Horizon Europe, we were talking about proof of concept activities will lead to a commercial or social innovation. And now we are more saying that we want a clear description of how the idea will eventually lead to an innovation, and a description of how the project will make progress on the path from groundbreaking research towards innovation. And experience shows that the path from research to innovation may take different forms. And here there is a list that you can keep in mind when you're writing your application. So you can, there are these forms like patenting, creation of spin-outs, licensing agreement, research contract, research collaboration, consultancy agreement, informal advice, public engagement, policy reports or contribution to policy, and more. In fact, this also comes from a study that was conducted from those that already had funded some years ago. And we asked, how do you intend to use the additional development funding? And we saw that there was a clear need to further to fund further research activities and further development and testing. And this is also why these things have been taken into account and shaping the new goals for Horizon Europe for the PoC in Horizon Europe. Now, the eligibility remains the same. So here, some very let's say important slides for that. Here we go into the implementation, into real details you need to know. So what are the eligibility conditions? Of course, as we were saying, the idea is to support research that stems from an ERC funded grant. So an eligible principal investigator have to have an ERC grant, which is either running or has ended like in January the year before. So in this case, January 2022. And the PoC idea, as I was saying, not only it has to be a grantee, but the PoC idea has to draw substantially on ERC funded research. Then we have only one eligible application per PI per year, that is per PoC call, because in fact, we will see there are more than one call per year, but for every year, there is only one eligible application, and there are maximum 3 PoC grants per ERC main grant, although these PoC grants may run in parallel. And the main, let's say, individual grants, well, it can be 6 for synergy grants. Also important to know, the host institution can be different from that of the main grant, and additional beneficiaries are allowed as for ERC main grants. And the same rules regards portability of the PoC grants as for main grants apply. So now we go to the proposal. The total the proposal is not an enormous, let's say, effort. It's only 10 pages, excluding references. So you have about a maximum 3 pages for the idea. And as I said, you have to describe the breakthrough innovation potential that draws substantially on the ERC funded research. Then you have 6 pages for approach and methodology. We'll go into details later. And then you have 1 page to describe the principal, investigation, strategic lead, and project management skills. So then there is only administrative support submission form A, similar to the ERC main grants application, and then you can add supplementary documents, for example, support letters from the host institution or letters of intent. They are very, of course, very relevant, and they will be read by the reviewers, and they will strengthen your application. Okay, so here you see there is also the address of a video. There is a video on the on this specific topic, among the ERC classes, and you have here some links that you can refer to if you want to know more. Now, what is the evaluation procedure for the proof of concept? It's a single-step evaluation procedure, and it takes about 100 days from submission to notification. It's a remote evaluation where there are 5 independent experts in technology transfer and in social innovation. Each evaluation element, we have seen them before, receive a comment and a mark. So the mark can be very good, that's equal to pass, or fail. There are no panel meetings discussion. It's only individual reviews that never meet. Their answers are collected by the agency that supports the ERC. I forgot to mention before, but I think it's clear. There is the 21 researchers that form the ERC Scientific Council, but then there is an agency, a number of people that actually work to implement the policies. They set up the scene for the work program, but then the work program is actually implemented by the agency by ERCEA. So I was saying there will be after this reviewers meet. The reviewers get the proposal and send their evaluations to ERCEA. There is a ranked list of proposals that have passed all the evaluation elements. And there is a pass mark by the majority, and this ranked list is established by the marks given by the experts, the evaluation 1, 2, and 3. And the highest weight is given to the element 1. and it's followed by element 2 and then 3. I hope you remember which were the elements, but of course you find again. So, and the highest ranked proposal with the budget for the evaluation grant, and then main listed. What is main listed? They're going to be funded. And then there is also a short reserve list is created in case of granted failure among the main list of projects. Now, there are some novelties, as I was already saying at the beginning, in comparison with Horizon 2020. So what is new in Horizon Europe? As I was saying, the objective has kind of acknowledged the fact that the PoC will not be able to bridge the gap between the markets and the idea. So the objective is reflected into the wording. It has to, the objective is to facilitate the exploration of the commercial and social innovation potential. And there is a less of a focus on achieving economic or social impact. In fact, you will find very little reference to impact in the scheme you have to fill, basically, in the template in your proposal, basically. So the scope is enlarged. Also, as I was saying, to include further research activities, because we have acknowledged this is a need, and you will also see later, I mean, you who do research know this very well, that research is never ended. Even when you go towards innovation, you'll probably find out that you will have to go back in some cases and do some more research to further understand, explain, adapt, and so on. So it's a constant process. And then also the now the PoC is among the frontier research, and the evaluation will follow this new, let's say, idea. And evaluation will also then be built on the sole criterion of excellence, comprising then breakthrough, innovation potential, approach and methodology, and principal investigation, the 3 evaluation criteria. But then they will all be under this excellence idea. And now also, like all for the other calls in Horizon Europe's, a data management plan will be now requirement within 6 months from project start. And also the gender equality plan needs to be, it's also required. And of course, this is for the host institution. At the signature of the grant, it has to be in place. But let's go further on the evaluation questions for the new for the ERC or program 2023. So the first, you will see that there are 3 different questions that correspond to the 3 different sections. So indeed, does the proposal idea have the potential to drive innovation and business inventiveness and to tackle societal challenges? And you remember this is changed from Horizon Europe, from Horizon 2020, because before we were saying we were leading to commercial and social innovation, now has the potential. I mean, as I was saying, we acknowledge these difficulties. And are the proposed expected outcomes innovative or distinct compared to existing solutions? And here I was saying, I just meant to say that here you will find the societal challenges only here in section 1A1, because indeed there is much less emphasis on impact. So you will see that there are no other parts where this is mentioned. So are the proposed expected outcomes innovative or distinctive compared to existing solutions? So there is an emphasis on this. And is the proposed idea high risk, high gain? And you will see that where programmed, this terminology has been removed, but it remains for the main grants, but it remains here because indeed here we can talk about high risk and high gain, because indeed there is more risk in this part. What does this mean? If successful, will the outcome result in a breakthrough innovation? Is there a risk that some aspects are difficult to overcome? Of course, the risk should be there in a way. And of course, indeed, you have to also include a risk assessment. Now, compared to the approach, going to the approach and the methodology, here you see how this is divided. And the first part is for section 1B1, I and double I, and the other one is for the other section. So here, are the proposed activities and planning appropriate and effective to explore the pathways from groundbreaking research towards innovation? And here you have a list of the activities that may include testing, experimenting, demonstrating, validating the idea, conducting research. As I was saying, this is now part of this, required to carry out the above activities and to address the weaknesses uncovered by them. And also very important to clarify the APRE protection or knowledge transfer strategies, and also the involvement of industry partners, societal or cultural organization, depending, of course, what's the objective, policymaker, or any other potential stakeholders supporting the translation of research results into innovation. And then, and also, of course, assessing potential end user of the expected innovation. Then the other question is also very important. Remember, this is the section that gets the 6 pages. You can go a bit more into details. Are the proposed timescales and resources adequate for the implementation and feasibility of the project and properly justified? So here, it's very important to be very clear and to justify all the choices you've made. And will the activities be conducted by a person well qualified for the purpose? So this is also important. You have to convince the reviewers that indeed you have been thinking of your team and that everybody gets the right assignments, let's say. And of course, this is also important for the principal investigator. And indeed, so here you will assess if the PI demonstrates a clear vision on how to organize the management of the project, the consolidation of information and data needed to take strategic decision and implement the proposed plan, including risk and contingency measures. As I was saying, you have to assess the risk as well, and this is sometimes a critical part. Because indeed, you will have. I mean, of course, as we said, it's a difficult journey, and indeed, it's the risks are there. And one of the challenges for those in research is indeed to going into innovation is to really understand the process, and to assess what the risks are. So now another change is that for the PoC, and this is the only type of grant under the ERC that gets it, there will be the seal of excellence. You know what it is. The idea is that all proposals that have received a pass mark in all the 3 of the evaluation elements set out in the work program, but cannot be funded due to a lack of budget available to the call, will receive automatically this seal of excellence. And then, but of course, you have to give consent to sharing some basic information about the application, which will not disclose any let's say, sensible information, not only about the call, of course, about the project, the proposal, not only about you, but also about the proposal. And then the idea is also that RTD, the commission DG, so that the people in the commission that also run research projects, the main bulk of the research project, will be able to help you somehow. But there are, if you want to know more on who are the funding bodies that recognize or support the Seal of Excellence, there is also here a link. So what is the calendar for the proof of concept? You can see here, there have been already 2 calls this year and another one, and there is a new deadline for the 3rd cutoff that's going to happen in September. So time to get your acts together and put the proposal. And also So there is a provisional calendar for the work program 2024, and you will see here that indeed there are 2 more calls in 2024. Yeah, sorry, this I think I didn't mean to show, but okay, now that it's here. Indeed, what if my proposal was not funded? We actually encourage you to fund it, to submit this again, because in fact, there is also some literature about this, and here it's cited. You actually are, I mean, there is proof that actually you learn in the process, and the fact that it's not funded doesn't mean that it's a failure or that the proposal is not relevant. You can by resubmitting, you can exploit the feedback, and you also show that you really are motivated, that you really believe in your idea. So now some data about how did the call go and how did Italy do, and you see here the results of the proof of concept from 2011 to 2022, and you will see that Italy is here. Don't know if you can see, but it's after. So UK are the first, Netherlands, the Germany, Spain, France, Israel, and then Italy. We also, I couldn't get the complete, let's say, outlook on the success rate, but here there are some submissions and results from the first cut of the 2022, where the co-budget was 25 million, and you see that in total we had evaluated 348 proposals and 166 were funded. That means a success rate of almost half. So it's quite interesting numbers. Of course, this is also because these proposals are somehow pre-selected, because they also stem from funded applicants, from funded grantees. So there is a pre-selection, and this is why probably the success rate is so high. How does it go for Italy? This is again from the last, so this is from the first cutoff of the 2022 of PoC. And here it doesn't show all the countries, as you can see there, not all there, I think, but anyway, the success rate of Italy was 21, which is in this case better than many others, but yes, it's a very, very partial view. You can see more about the PoC results on the ERC website, and here there is some links that you can click, or you can search. And I will go to ERC Transition activities as follow-up of the ERC PoC. And originally, the ERC Transition was a bridge from EIC Pathfinder to EIC Accelerator. So not ERC in the picture, but the EIC Joint Working Group identified the relevance of the EIC Transition also for funding ERC PoCs, because indeed these are good ideas. They do have some potentials. These are very interesting projects. So why don't we help them as well? And then, there was some input prepared for call text in 2021 for the first ERC transition grants, including the ERC. And so here it's just, it's a very complex diagram, but of course the idea is that it's to see what is the path from the idea, development, and commercialization. So where is the ERC frontiers situated, where the ERC proof of concept situation, the ERC Pathfinder. Probably my colleague will explain it more about this, the ERC Accelerator, and where is the ERC Transition. So you see that there is some continuity from the ERC proof of concept scheme as well. So indeed, and here you see, I mean, if you want to look at this, what are the different actors in the different stages of this journey? So where do you get the funding at the beginning, in the middle, and at the well, not the end, but I mean more developed, I mean more farther in the process. And so indeed, you will see, yeah, but I think it's not the time to go very much into the details. We just acknowledge that this is the case. So what are the transition called eligibility? So we have single applicants that can be SMEs, spin-offs, such as research organization, university. I mean, compared to the PoC grants, it's not the individual who can apply, but indeed can be a single applicant or a small consortium, maximum 5 partners. And the grants are much more generous than in case of the PoC, of course, is up to 2.5 millions. And indeed, now the ERC, it's listed among those that can apply to this, because it's anyway a restricted number of results or eligible projects that can apply. And of course, since it's not the individual researcher, the PI that had the main grant, but it's another entity, the applicants will need to demonstrate that they are the owner or the holder of the intellectual property rights or have the necessary rights to commercialize the results from one of these eligible projects. The EIC provides a list of potential eligible projects every year. So how did they go for the ERC PoC in the first 2 calls in 2021 and 2022? They were quite successful. Yeah, it's been extremely successful. Yeah, perhaps they exceeded expectation, let's say. More of the 50% of the successful proposal originating from PoC got funded. So in the first transition call in 2021, it was about 60%, again 60% in 2022, the first cutoff. And the second, it's a bit less, it's 47%, but okay, we can really say that indeed the proposal originating from PoC had a higher success rate than other participants, or at least the same. So we are very happy about those results. And here I want to share a little bit some of the some examples. So this is the EODINE, or EODINE, I don't know, it's a Spanish company that was indeed has created a rehabilitation gaming system that's considered a groundbreaking platform for cognitive and motor neuro rehabilitation in a range of neuropathologies such as stroke. And you see that indeed there was a first advanced grant in 2013, and then this also applied. They are also applied for a PoC, and they got a PoC, and they applied for a EIC Transition in 2021, and they do have one. I've also put here down a lot of other funding schemes that you can find if you look for this company on the web. Indeed, there are many more actors that in fact support this, and it's, I mean, rightly so, because as we were saying before, there is a lack of support in the Valley of Death, and it's I mean, it's a very good thing. I think that the European Commission, the European Union, the Innovation Council said we indeed support the good ideas. This is another example. This is an Italian, is an innovative Italian company that's an official spin-off of the Politecnico di Milano, and that incorporate. And so Nireos was incorporated in 2019 and manufactures high-performance devices for spectroscopy. There was an initial COG, consolidated grant in 2013, and then they also had a PoC in 2018, and now in 2021 there is an EIC Transition. And of course, if you go to their website, they also have another collaborative project, so to support them to develop. So successful companies are indeed we're happy to see that they are funded, that we are funding the right the best performing companies. This is another example you may have heard. It comes regularly on the news as well. There is a neuroscience professor at APRE that went all the way from basic science and preclinical research model to translation and went to treatments to help individual with spinal cord injury to walk again. So this is a very impressive breakthrough, and this started in 2010 with a starting grant, then another consolidator grant in 2015, and then a PoC in 2013, another PoC in 2019, and finally a transition, EIC Transition in 2020. And then, of course, this is not the only one, because this sort of research, they really need a lot of support. They got support from the Human Brain Project and also from another set of supporting schemes, of course. So, yeah, this is about all for me. Thank you very much for your attention. I couldn't see you because I was looking at my presentation. Here are all the links you need to know, and I end my presentation. I hope to see you. I'm ready for questions, me and Lina.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna, for the very detailed presentation. Yes, we can start with the first Q&A sessions. I think, yes, I also now see Line, the co-coordinator of the Proof of Concept. Thank you again for being with us. So we can start with the first question. So why the ERC Proof of Concept is not included in the EIC Fast Track? I don't know.
You have to ask from the EIC.
It's more for...
Well, I think there was a discussion. It was considered, in fact, and it was discussed by the Scientific Council Working Group on Innovation. But to be included on the fast track, if I recall correctly, there is a requirement for an ex post evaluation, which we don't have in place for PoC, and that's the reason. I don't know from the EIC side if you want to add on top of that.
Yeah, maybe we can ask Marco Giorgini. We can add to the... I asked to the colleagues. Yes, I see him now. Perfect.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I cannot speculate exactly on the reason legally, but I can essentially provide some additional information. At the moment, EIC Fast Track, given some issues in the application to the EIC accelerator, is not really a fast track. So I always advise our beneficiaries, if there is not a specific reason for applying to fast track to accelerator through the fast track, to apply directly to accelerator, because in any way EIC Fast Track skip only the step 1, which normally lasts only 5 weeks. So it's really difficult to make it faster than 5 weeks. So this is my advice.
Thank you for the clarification. We can go to the next question. Maybe I would suggest to keep Marco in the group in case there are other similar questions, maybe more on the EIC side. So the other question is it possible to have an example of a social innovation that could be or has been funded by Proof of Concept? I think you showed one in your slides.
Yeah, the first one was actually indeed from SH, let's say, because I had one per domain. Let's say the first one was from SH, but I think Line has been presenting some recently as well. So maybe she wants to give some more details on others that she has encountered.
Yeah, I can explain a bit. I mean, everything that I tell you now, you will also find on our website via the links that Anna included in her presentation on all the results of the 2022 calls. But I can mention 3 projects to you just as example. We have one project given to an Austrian PI, which is the development of a music app, which allows musicians to play together while they are in fact separate. So from coming together via an app to play together. So that's one example. Another one is a project which aims to boost trust in online media by instantly informing users of online media about any potential conflict of interest related to an article or the media itself. Then we have a third one, which is going on in Iceland, and this is a PI who is trying to build a large database on that they've done on adolescents in Iceland, a full cohort of adolescents, and they are trying to build a biopsychosocial simulation model for harmful adolescent behavior. So these are three examples of very different projects, but you will find a lot of other SH projects if you look through the call results of our recent calls. So that's for you to find inspiration. Also on our ERC Project database, you can now look up for PoC projects, and we have them linked to the panel of the original main call. So you can go and search PoC projects by panel, so to say, to target your research area more closely and look into what types of projects are funded from the original ERC main panels.
Thank you. So yes, this is one of the false myth that proof of concept wouldn't be fit for a social sciences and humanities research idea, but it's totally.
No, there is a lot of emphasis on the fact that this is not even using the word translation is sometimes discouraged to really not give the impression that we are only for technology marketable, yes, but technology driven only ideas.
Indeed. Next question. Under the ERC PoC proof of concept, can a spin-off company be the host institution?
Indeed,
I would say
it can.
yes. Yes.
It can, and any entity can be the host institution. You are fully free to choose an appropriate host institution, which you will then explain.
There are even statistics that actually show that this is actually quite, it's done in quite a number of cases, and it's, it's not because the host institution is not a big institution that this is a problem. If this was the underlying question, let's say.
Okay. Yeah, indeed, it could also be, just to add, a different host institution than the one for the main grant.
The main grant, yes.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Next one. Can I only present one PoC per call? Do I have to choose one of the deadlines? Yes,
I was trying to say this before, but I think Lina can also confirm this. Indeed, yes, that's it's a condition. Yes.
Next one. So it's more advice they're asking. Yes, how to attract relevant stakeholders to give letters of support for an ERC PoC proposal if the proof of concept is not fully demonstrated yet?
Well, I think maybe there I can just reply that most of our applicants, they do submit letters of support or letters of intent. And this might be with collaborators that they already have in place, or, if they identify a potential end user group, they may get in contact with those to explain their idea and even to develop their idea further. So we have letters of support or letters of intent for from many different kinds of stakeholders, so policymakers, industry, different end user groups, research collaborators. So it's really just for you to document any collaborators or collaborations that are already in place, and that would support or strengthen your PoC proposal.
Also, I suppose, also support for the idea. So the fact that the idea would actually, I mean, if this high risk, high gain will turn into a high gain, that this will be really useful.
Indeed.
Thank you. Next question. It's another request of advice. So how can we encourage researchers already financed by the ERC to move to the proof of concept?
Well, every year, actually, when we launch a proof of concept call, which usually happens in October or November for the first deadline in January of the following year, we inform all our researchers that the call is now launched, all the potential researchers, indicating the deadlines, and also encouraging them to apply early in the year, because this is usually where we have the higher success rates. We usually have about 10 to 11% of all ERC grantees that apply for a proof of concept every year. So this is starting and consolidated grantees are slightly more active in applying, advanced grants slightly less. But I think with the prospect that you can actually obtain 3 PoC projects for each ERC main grant and 6 for Synergy, there's actually quite some potential in developing and pushing any idea, any potential application, new application, some idea that comes out while doing your research. It's actually quite good when you think about it, and that's also why we want to encourage everybody to apply as early as possible. Once you have an idea, to just launch it and to set the boat in the water. Also, with the feedback from our experts, you might even improve the potential project.
Indeed, I think the effort is relatively limited because 10 pages application is probably doable. And as I was trying to say before, you get feedback, and this is helpful. If you have an idea and you want to move it to market, this is probably just the first advice that you can get. So it's probably useful. We hope it's useful.
And you get your reply within 100 days. So it's also...
Yeah. Timely, yes.
One curiosity I have, what about Synergy applicants? Are they active in presenting them PoCs?
No, they're not so active. We see now that the applications from the Synergy grantees are beginning to go up, but it's still quite a few for every deadline. I think we were in the last deadline at 6, which is the maximum we ever had for one evaluation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The data I was showing before that for the first cut of 2022, there are only 5 from Synergy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But 3 were funded. So that's a success rate.
Huge success rate, yeah.
Yes, very, yes.
So should I take the last question on the waiting list for January?
Yes, that's a very hot topic.
Yeah, so what we do currently, because of the UK situation, that they are eligible to apply, but that we cannot sign a new grant with a beneficiary based in the UK. All UK proposals that are main listed, the PIs are offered the opportunity to use the right of portability, and they're giving a deadline of, I think, currently 3 months. If they decide to move with their grants, we go ahead with the granting, and if not, they decide not to, then we go straight to the waiting list. But we are waiting the replies from the UK PI, so it takes about 4 or 5 months before we go to the waiting list. So this is the current situation. it means that we're building longer wait list, and we also put on the reserve list a few more proposals in case our call budget will increase, because we do have additional funds coming from the third countries. So so some of the reserve list applicants may only be invited towards the end of the year.
Okay, thank you. Another question, is there a limit to the number of applications by the same PI in proof of concept?
You can apply once per year and as long as you're eligible. So in theory, you can submit 6 to 7, let's say, for a 5 years project, but only one eligible proposal can be evaluated per year.
Okay, and regarding the number of PoC grants for the same project, there is also a limitation.
There is this limitation of 3 proof of concept projects if you have a starting consolidator or advanced grant, and 6 for the group of synergy grantees in each synergy project. So maximum 6 PoCs.
Okay, thank you. I don't see other questions. So I think we can go on with the agenda to the second part of the event, the part dedicated to the EIC. I would like first to thank again Anna and Line for their participation. Thank you so much. Of course, if you can, you can stay with us. And thank you again for the participation. In order to understand now better what are the features, the rules of the EIC, especially the transition scheme, I will leave now the floor to Marco Giorgini, Head of Sector for the EIC Tech to Market activities of the EISMEA, the European Innovation Council, and SMEs Executive Agency. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, all. As mentioned, I'm head of sector of the EIC Transition. So I will give you a short presentation. I don't have many slides, and I want to leave a lot of space for discussion and questions. Let me first give an overview where EIC locates into Horizon Europe. It's under Pillar 3. You see European Innovation Council, and in the EIC we have essentially three funding instruments that cover all the TRL. So we start with Pathfinder, which is the successor of future emerging technologies that have been going on for several years. It was introduced with Horizon Europe Transition, so that covers the follow-up of Pathfinder, and as you have seen, all are also ERC PoC and other eligible projects also. And then it goes on with Accelerator, which is the successor of the SME instrument, and since already few programming periods. So this covers all the TRL scale. So overall, EIC allocates 1.6 billion of euro in 23. You can see here that EIC Transition is only a very tiny part of all EIC funding. We are essentially the newcomers, the new kids on the block, and you see that for all our instruments, Pathfinder, EIC Transition, and Accelerator, all the funding is split between an open topic, bottom up, and what we call challenges, and these are top down. You can see that for EIC Transition, we have medical, micro, and nano bio devices, environmental intelligence, and chip scale optical frequency comms. Approximately 50% of the budget goes to the open topic and 50% to the challenges. Let me move forward. Yes, okay. Why essentially the EIC transition? Well, it was said before, EIC transition is really for moving out of the lab promising technologies, novel and promising technology, and is essentially to continue and to sometimes to start, but sometimes also in the case of ERC PoC to continue the path to commercialization. So it supports both with funding, but we will see later also with additional services. And as I mentioned, it's a split between open funding and challenges, predefined thematic priorities, predefined in the work program. So who can apply? From age 2020, we have Pathfinder and FET, Future Emerging Technologies. We have FET ARNETS projects. We also have introduced in 2023 the preparatory actions on defense research. These are a very small number of projects that were funded by defense. Of course, this will be only for a civilian application. So any technology that is coming from that program will be funded in EIC Transition, but only for a civilian application. And of course, as mentioned this morning and topic of the day, all the projects that are coming from ERC PoC. In 2023, we have also added other eligible projects for challenges only, exclusively for the challenges. All projects funded in Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe can apply to EIC transition challenges. I want to open here a caveat. Essentially, there is an additional requirements. Please pay super attention to the technology readiness level. It doesn't mean that if your project is eligible, you will be or you're potentially be eligible for and successful in transition. There are many ERC, no, there are many, but there are some, and we have seen some actually, some ERC PoC that at the end of the ERC PoC, they are more advanced than just TRL 3 or 4. If this is the case, EIC really welcome you to apply directly to accelerator for grant on equity. But if you reach already TRL 5 in any of your projects, ERC PoC or FET or Pathfinder or H2020 for challenge, go directly to accelerator. An additional requirement is also concerning the time when you are applying. So your project needs to have started since at least 12 months and should not have ended more than 24 months at the time of the call deadline. So it cannot be too young and it cannot be too old. The financial contribution you are receiving is minimum $500,000. Don't submit proposals that are too small. And maximum, actually, it's less than 2.5 million. So €1 less is fine. And this is essentially because we are signing grant within 6 months from the call cutoff. To do this, certain legal requirements are necessary, and this specific to respect this time is that the grant needs to be lower than 2.5 million. So let me move forward. Here is in detail the budget split for the two topics. There is a certain level of flexibility, so it makes essentially the budget split 50% between the two, the open and the challenge. We are seeing that there is sometimes more space in challenges. And in general, we can see that there are more proposals invited to the second step of the evaluation coming from challenges. More proposal with respect to the same score obtained in the first step. So the two cutoff for this year were 12th of April that we are now evaluating, and there will be an additional cutoff in September. So I think you have all the time now to work on your proposal to be submitted in September. Here you can go above the 2.5 million in very specific and very justified case. You will need to explain why you're asking this amount of money, higher amount of money, and the panel and the evaluators might actually disagree with you and maybe even accept the proposal, but for a lower amount. It has happened in the past, so a higher amount was requested. The panel decided that only a smaller amount could be granted. So there has been some difficulties in the past concerning the eligibility of the consortia. So as mentioned, mono beneficiary are a possibility. So it might be the research institution that got the ERC PoC, or it might be already the spin-off that came out of the ERC PoC. So it doesn't need to be the same legal entity. We will see a bit more later what does this mean, but it needs to be from a member state or an associated country. Then also two beneficiaries, a consortium of two beneficiaries is possible. This needs to be from two different member states or associated country. And of course, then three beneficiaries, in this case, three different countries, of which at least one member state. In the previous, in the two beneficiary configuration, could be two entities from two associated countries, of course, two different associated countries. In the case of three beneficiaries, there must be at least one member state, and the same applies to consortia of 4 and 5 beneficiaries. Who can be beneficiary in our scheme? Essentially any institution. It might be a research and technology organization, SMEs, corporate, customers, even having a legal entity that are willing, that are interested in adopting the solution, and therefore they participate in the project as a testing organization, essentially. Hospitals, utilities, anyone. Of course, mono beneficiary can only be research organizations or SMEs. In the configuration of the mono beneficiary cannot be large corporate or larger than SMEs in any case. So what essentially is made an EIC transition? An EIC transition is starting with a result, an experimental proof of concept at TRL 3 or at TRL 4, validated already in the lab. The whole project will include a mix of technology development and business validation. What does it mean, technology development? It means essentially to increase the TRL from 3.4 up to 5.6, and essentially get ready for the next step. Business validation means essentially to prove what you are essentially proposing in your project, in your proposal, in terms of the size of the market, who is going to be the clients, how much they are willing to pay for that solution, and all other aspects that are important to make this innovation reaching the market. Of course, this does not need to reach the market at the end of the EIC transition, but it will need to reach the market after further funding and further development after the EIC transition project. So in the end, you are expected to reach a TRL of 5 or 6, supported by a clear commercialization strategy. It's a very good practice to do during this EIC transition, also a freedom to operate study. This is not a requirement for the proposal, but it's a requirement during a strong suggestion, I would say, during the EIC transition, because a freedom to operate study is a requirement for the following step, which is EIC Accelerator. So it's best if you prepare this during the EIC transition, so that you are ready immediately after EIC transition to apply to Accelerator. What if you were not part of the initial consortium? This is the case when, for example, a spin-off is created during the project, the previous project, Pathfinder or ERC PoC, and the spin-off does not join the previous project and therefore is not part of the consortium of the eligible project. This is not an issue. You can still apply as a spin-off. Of course, we have softened a bit the requirement. We don't require anymore this new applicant to be owner or have a license or the rights, but we require to have a commitment letter from the owner to negotiate with you fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory access to results, including APRE, for the purpose not to perform only the EIC transition, but also future commercial exploitation. This is because essentially at TRL 3 or 4, we cannot expect yet that the owner of the APRE established a full and working license to the technology, because a prototype often is not yet there. Of course, definition of TRL, market is not yet clear, and therefore all the terms of a license cannot be negotiated at that point. But there needs to be the commitment of the owner to give the rights to the SME, most likely, to do the project and then further the exploitation after the project. We are proposing a template of this commitment letter together with the template of the application. There are not specific requirements. We need to see that there is this commitment in this letter, so it can be adjusted to the specific cases. In general, don't come to us asking or trying to validating the letter before. If there are aspects that are not clear or will be clarified after the evaluation. Our evaluation time to grant, as I said, is quite short, 6 months. We don't have the time to check the content of the letter during the evaluation. If something is not appropriate, we will do it after, and we will require to clarify, to provide a new letter, these kind of things. Okay, let's go now essentially to the evaluation process. As I said, to application to deadline to cut off for this year. During the evaluation, immediately after the evaluation team check the eligibility of your project, composition, linked project, and so on. Submitted in the portal, content, and so on. And then the first step it consists of the remote evaluation by 3 experts. This compiles an evaluation report. The highest ranked proposal from the evaluation, from the remote evaluation, are invited to the interview. The interview is essentially a panel composed by 6 external jury members. Sometimes also a program manager from EIC join the discussion in the interview. The interview starts with a 10 minutes pitch from the applicant. Normally maximum 10 slides, and then it follows by a 35 minutes of question and answer. After approximately 1 month from the interview, you will receive the result, the either rejection letter or invitation to participate in the grant agreement preparation phase. During this phase, there are further checks that are performed concerning, for example, the APRE, also TRL are verified, and so on. And normally the grant is signed within 6 months from the cutoff. It's extremely, compared to the normal 8 months, I would say it's extremely challenging evaluation. Sometimes notification, for example, invitation to interview comes only 2 weeks before the interview itself. In any case, we publish in advance the week of the interview. It is published in our website. So if you are submitting a proposal for the September cutoff, you know already which week in December you will be invited to the interview if you are successful in the first step of the evaluation. There are no more restrictions in the resubmission. This is essentially because we have 2 cutoff per year and no more than that. So you can resubmit as many times as you want, but if you receive a low score below threshold, threshold is 4 in excellence, 4 in impact, and 3.5 in implementation. If you receive a score below one of the 3 threshold, you need to address the weaknesses and to seek advice to NCPs or most likely to from the EU office of your institution. Yes. So what are the lessons learned? We have run only 3 cutoffs so far. We are a new instrument. This is quite complex instrument, I would say, compared to starting from blue sky research or in the case of accelerator, having a single SME where the business is probably more important than technology. Here we are really in between. We are facing consortia, we are facing different TRL, starting, ending. We are facing also different requirements in terms of funding and support for different industries and technologies. But what we can see is that when you apply to EIC Transition, you really need to focus on impact and higher business potential. We have seen some projects that did not identify a significant market opportunity. We are not equity investors, but we are assessing your proposal like if this proposal can have a follow-up, and preferably by private money, by private investors. We try to support the proposal that will have a continuation, possibly, preferably in accelerator, and for that you need to come already at the EIC transition level with a solid and opportunity for market opportunity, or really the potential to make a significant impact in the market. You need also to come with some idea of who are your competitors, not only the size of the market, but how better is your solution compared to existing solutions. So I think it's important that you put this indication in your proposal, and also all the validation and refinement that will need to be done in the proposal. You need to describe this already in your proposal. So concerning the technology readiness level, level 3 is really the starting point, cannot be less. You need to describe this in the proposal. If it is 4, it's even better. There is less technological risk, especially for some industry and some application. Feedback from the jury member. I've seen that sometimes technical milestones are not significant. We are then requiring to modify this technical milestone during the gap if the project is successful. A deliverable is never by itself a milestone. A deliverable is sometimes, not always, a way to verify a milestone, but don't put report as a milestone. Put really an achievement that is a successful testing executed, or a customer signing a letter of intent or other commitments. These are technical and business milestone, and of course that letter will become a deliverable, and it's a way to verify the achievement of that milestone. IP ownership and access. This is also something that the jury members are checking, are questioning. What is it about your license? How are you going to negotiate the access to all the pieces of IPR that you need if you don't have access yet, and so on. Budget and allocation of resources. As I said, jury member have the power, for example, to suggest a different amount. If, for example, you are asking an excessive amount of, for example, salary of a CEO. We are still in EIC transition. Resources are scarce, are not abundant. Jury member can comment on the budget and the allocation of the resources. Technical and business risk. For every technical and business risk, you have to put a mitigation measure. Of course, a jury member, as I said, will check the TRL or will question the TRL at the beginning and at the end of the project, and work packages and tasks need to be connected by each other, one feeding the other. Work packages that are standalone are never perceived positively, and you might not have already an exploitation team, someone that will spin off, or a potential licensee at the step of the EIC transition proposal, but you need to describe a path to reach that level. So create a team during the EIC transition project and describe how you're going to do it in the proposal. And of course, credibility of the business objectives. You need to aim for a significant impact and a significant opportunity, but you need to be credible in your proposal. Okay, so let's come to some number. EIC transition overall results in 2022. Well, you can see that EIC transition has a much higher success rate than EIC Pathfinder, for example. But of course, this is lower than what you are. The success rate of ERC PoC. There is a reason for this. 2.5 million is not an negligible amount, I would say. It's a significant amount, and really it's funding 100%. And this is at this level of TRL, if it's a significant opportunity, if you have the right TRL, this money will trigger. We are seeing this that being selected and being funded by EIC means that you will be able to attract already during the EIC transition private funding. We have seen that spin-off created during ERC PoC in the ERC PoC scheme apply to us, get funded, and 6 months after they are receiving already investment from leading accelerator for equity at a very high valuation. So, and this is because the opportunity is concrete. The market opportunity is very concrete, and the team has all it takes to bring this until the market. Okay, so I'm ready for question and answer, and please.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. We have already a few questions, starting from the first one. Is it preferable to apply with a spin-off from a university than with the university for the EIC transition?
Well, there is no really a preference. This, I would say, if you're planning to do a spin-off, in any case, I would say that go and do it, and do it before applying. At the same time, it needs to be a spin-off that has a certain also financial capacity. We are part of Horizon Europe, so it's the financial capacity is assessed during the grant agreement preparation. If your spin-off is an empty box, essentially, without people, without much own capital, you cannot be the coordinator. So it's a decision that you need to take and an assessment that you need to make when applying to EIC Transition. You need to take in consideration the financial capacity of the entity that is applying.
Thank you. Next one. Why EIC Transition is not open to any applicant? It would be nice to open it just with respect to TRL, and not only to awardees.
I couldn't agree more on this. I couldn't agree more. The issue is the budget. Simply, we have just started. So the budget authority and the parent DG decided that we start small, and essentially we are testing. We are still testing all the let's say the conditions and so on. So we cannot open it to any awardees, but I fully agree that this would be ideal.
Next one, if the final TRL of a PoC, Pathfinder or FET is 3-4 or major, will be better to apply directly to accelerator instead of the transition call?
If the final TRL of a PoC is, or a Pathfinder or FET is 3 or 4, solid 3 or 4, you need to come to us. Because accelerator accept only 5, minimum 5 or preferably 6 as TRL. So you need to come to us first before going directly to accelerator. And don't forget that we are funding 100%, and we are funding almost any configuration of project, of consortia, whereas accelerator is only accepting SMEs.
Very, very clear. Next one, the beneficiary or small consortia eligibility is still quite confusing. It would be nice to have some eligibility criteria for open-end challenges.
Okay, so concerning the composition of the applicants for open and challenges, the composition is essentially the requirements are identical. So you can apply as a mono beneficiary, and it needs to be from a member state or an associated country. 2 beneficiaries needs to be from 2 different member states of associated countries. Starting from 3 beneficiaries needs to be 3 different countries, member states or associated countries, but one of the 3 needs to be, at least one of the 3 needs to be a member state. And 4 or 5, same rules apply. I don't know if I'm clear, but I don't see where is confusing. I'm open to re-elaborate or address any unclarity, but let me know.
Sure. We invite the participant to formulate another question, maybe with more details, more specific. So in the meantime, we continue with another question, an advice. What kind of advice would you have for applicants to EIC transition challenges, not having a proof of concept or a Pathfinder grant? Who should apply? Who should rather not?
Okay, so here we are talking about any Age 2020 and Horizon Europe project. First, I would advise come to us if you have a project that is funded directly from EIC, from the program, and this means that the fate of cascading grants is not so clear at the moment. So it's unclear that if we can fund them, because we cannot see the content of these projects. And essentially, my advice is pay super attention to the TRL, because if you are coming from a project where it was written that the expected end TRL was 5 or 6, and you are coming from that project, it's likely that the jury members or the evaluator will consider that that project is not eligible, and therefore your application will not be evaluated positively, because your originating project was expected to deliver a TRL that is higher than the entry point of the EIC transition. So my advice is pay super attention to the TRL of your originating project and the entry point of EIC transition.
Thank you. Next one. Can you clarify how to apply to EIC Transition as a follow-up of an Horizon 2020 or Horizon Europe RIA project? Does it have to be the same consortium?
No, it doesn't have to be the same consortium. Even someone else that was not part of the original consortium can apply. But, of course, you need to put in the application the name and the acronym and project number, and if you were not part of the same consortium you need to add this letter of commitment that the owner of the APRE of the result will negotiate with you access to the result, including APRE.
Thank you. Next one. Why do the pitch desks for interviews have to be submitted before the interview now? How will this change the interview preparation?
Okay, we have someone who is going to interview next week. Great. Why? Essentially because I think we realized we adopted simply a practice that Accelerator is already doing, except that they are asking this months in advance. We are asking it only a few days, 1 week before the interview. We consider that jury members will have more time to assess what you will present in your pitch, and they are actually more prepared in what they will ask to you during the question and answer session. So they are essentially able to prepare questions that are not addressed in your presentation.
Thank you. There is a new question.
Good luck for next week.
We have a consortium having a Spanish university in lead and a Swiss startup. Is that eligible for transition?
Well, at the moment is eligible, but this is not in the spirit of the program, because we welcome back our Swiss friends, but at the moment they are not funded, and this configuration would be using EU money to fund a Spanish university for the benefit of a Swiss startup. This is a pattern that we are seeing. I can speak personally, does not reflect any at the moment legal conditions or constraints. This is EU money spent for a non-eligible country exploitation entity. Okay.
Thank you. There is another question, but I think it's more general and not I don't know if in the EIC program there are other instruments for non-ERC grantees. So still with research background funded H2020 or Horizon Europe, that is not an awardee of some ERC.
So what other instruments are there for any? Sorry, I don't understand the question.
As far as I understood, I think they have funded projects, and either in Horizon 2020 or Horizon Europe. That is not an ERC, so they cannot apply to any EIC scheme with to further develop the research previously funded in I don't know which program.
Essentially, if you are not an awardee of ERC, but you have a project in H2020 or Horizon Europe, and if your project has produced a result with the right TRL, and I mean TRL 3 or minimum 3 or ideally 4, you can apply to one of our challenges. Of course, if your project fit with the scientific topic of these 3 challenges, and of course the TRL is correct, and then you will also need a letter from the owner if you were not in the previous consortium.
Okay, thank you. I don't see other questions, so we can directly move to the next presentation, always by Marco Giorgini, about the business acceleration service. But anyway, there will be another Q&A sessions after this presentation. So in case you have other doubts, please, just so you know that you still can do it. You can type your question. Quickly remind to connect to the website sly.do, and there you can write the code, which is ERC-EIC.
So I'm uploading my presentation.
Okay.
It's coming. Processing. Okay, I think you can see it now.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, as you can see, I'm not Agnieszka. I'm replacing my colleague Agnieszka in this presentation. I'm going to talk essentially about the EIC Business Acceleration Services, and these are what EIC provides beyond grants to all its beneficiaries. Let's start. We have more than 6,000 SMEs and more than 450 research teams that we are supporting both in EIC, both with grants and services. There is a significant amount of grant funding and also for accelerator equity investment. So far, there were 12 unicorns. Unicorns is a company who is valued more than 1 billion and more than 112 centaurs. Centaurs are companies that are valued more than 100 million. So they have really reached a significant valuation. There are all industry are represented in our portfolio. Okay, so at the center of these three instruments, we have EIC BAS. So it's business acceleration services, and it is essentially grouped in three categories: access to advice, access to business partners, and access to innovation ecosystem and peers. So if you are an applicant or a beneficiary, or if you have received the Europe Seal of Excellence, you can access most of these services. With the Europe Seal of Excellence, we can help you essentially finding additional funding, or funding, because you receive this Europe Seal of Excellence when you have essentially passing the selection, the evaluation process, but there is not enough money to fund your proposal because you're low in the ranking or didn't pass the last step of the selection. So let's see a bit more into details what are these business acceleration services. As I mentioned, innovation ecosystem and partners include incubators, accelerators, innovation agency, research and innovation infrastructures, venture builders, and also the access to the EIT knowledge of innovation communities. Concerning access to business partner, there are events that allow you to contact and to get in contact, of course, assisted by us or some of our partners, get in contact with corporations, investors, procurers, public and private procurers, and also you will have access to trade fairs free of charge. Access to advice and skills include coaching, tech-to-market services, and programs for women leadership. To this, we can also add EIC Scale Up, which is a project, a service that has just started and can accompany your company to become a unicorn. And this is done having access to community, to investors, to mentors, and so on. All this is also integrated in the EIC community. The EIC community is a platform that you are becoming part, you are having access to when you receive a service or a grant from us. And in this platform, you will be able to access all other services, all other support services that we or our partner provides, and get information about the selection to these services and the content of these services. Okay, so why to go for BAS? There are a number of events that are happening every year. Here you can see all the corporates that more than 2,000 corporates and investors involved every year. 20% of these events or these meetings as a business a concrete business and a contract as a follow-up. So these are really services that are provided with the aim for companies and for participants to conclude business. Altogether, all these services have a value of more than 50,000 euros, so quite significant. Recently, this year, a new program has been launched, and this is the Tech to Market Entrepreneurship and Venture Building Program. This is made essentially of two parts. The first part is an entrepreneurship program, and the second part is a venture building program. So the first entrepreneurship program is essentially training. Is essentially training to transform or help someone coming from research, from the research field to become an entrepreneur. Of course, not all of the researcher wants to become entrepreneurs. And here you can see all the different training that are provided in this scheme. Of course, as I said, not all of researchers want to become entrepreneur, and that's why the second part of this service is also designed. So in this venture building process, you present your idea, your technology, your opportunity, and under the guidance of venture building entity, a team is created, which does not necessarily include the researcher. So experienced entrepreneur, experienced C-level executives are incorporated in the team from the external to create a company, to create a venture. Together with this, a number of venture services are provided so that the researcher is not obliged to leave his organization and become an entrepreneur or a founder in a company. So I want also to introduce another line of services that are available in EIC, and this is done in the service catalog. In the service catalog are listed a number of partners. These are innovation partners, are ecosystem innovation ecosystem partners, namely include accelerator, incubators, and companies providing services to startups and technology companies. These services are provided either free of charge or against payment, but are selected and validated by us to include, let's say, a pre-screening for you of only players that are reliable and can provide and can help you. Here in this slide, you can see some of these players. Let me just highlight, for example, Angel Santé, which is a very, very important players in the field of medical and pharma. Let me also highlight Catalyze, which is accelerator, very prominent, and you can see that not only business accelerator are part, but you are seeing also on the bottom here ESRF, which is a research infrastructure facility. So I think this shows really the breadth of the services that can be provided by these ecosystem partners. You can have access to this service catalog at this website, partnerservices.eismea.eu. So far, you need to pay for these services if these are not provided free of charge by the partners. In the future, there will be some form of co-funding from us. The service will be partially covered by us. And this should be starting as of next year. There are other bus services that are also provided. One is business coaching. Once you receive a grant from us, you become eligible to receive business coaching from a pool of coaches that will be made available to you. Essentially, we will suggest coaches. You will be able to pick among our suggestions, and you will receive 3 days of business coaching free of charge for EIC projects. Coaching is not consulting. I like to highlight. They will help you play, let's say, challenge your assumption and verify your assumption. They will ask difficult questions in a way that you will learn. They will not solve the problem for you, but they will challenge your assumption. This is important to highlight. A way to get into all these services, of course, once you receive a grant from us, is registering into the EIC community platform. There you will have access to additional calls for these services, for events, for opportunities, and so on. Okay, I think this is all from us. I like also to mention that there is a women leadership program. This is a training that is provided to women leaders that are either leaders in startups, CEO of startups, or are planning to move out of from academia into the business world. This is all from my side. I'm open for questions now.
Yes, I see there are already some questions on both topics, transition and the bus. First one, back to transition. The eligibility failure is very high. What are the problems encountered? How to correct that?
Okay, I think it was very high in the first calls. Of course, the requirements for the consortia composition was probably different from the one of FET or Pathfinder, and it was not only mono-beneficiary. So I think at the very beginning, this was a bit of an issue in the sense that it was also probably not communicated super clearly in the work program. I think now concerning composition, we have much less problems. And of course, this year opening the eligibility to H2020 project, all H2020 for challenges has created, I would say, further eligibility failures. But we are working on this. I would say that if you have doubt, check the eligibility with the NCP. If there are borderline cases, they will come to us.
Thank you. Next one. who are early stage researchers mentioned in the bus service definition, EIC Tech to Market program?
Yeah. Okay, early stage researchers are okay. This EIC Tech to Market program is not only for SMEs, is not only for spin-off. This program is for any researcher that is in also in Pathfinder projects, not only in EIC Transition projects. Therefore, they might still be at the very early stage of their research. So they might be at TRL 1 or 3 or 1 or 2 or 3. And actually, we did have some of these cases where someone really from the research started a path to learn about business, not necessarily committed to spin off, but just learning about this possibility and getting to learn the necessary skills, maybe for the end of the project to take decision to spin off.
Still about the bus service. Some of the activities are run by external organizations. Is there a list of those providers so that NCPs know which are official providers?
Yes, the list is public and is available at the website that it's in the slides.
Okay. Mono beneficiaries are allowed only for challenges, not in open. Is it correct?
No, it's not correct. This is a requirement for Pathfinder, not for us. Mono beneficiaries are allowed and welcomed in any part of in any of the two parts of our EIC transition.
If we are an innovation provider or incubator, how can we be part of the bus network?
If we are innovation provider or incubator, how can we be part of the bus network? There are calls. I think there is one open at the moment. Check the website. There is a call for expression of interest. You submit your application. You are evaluated and assessed by our contractor, and then I think a memorandum of understanding of memorandum is signed between your organization and us.
Boot camps are also available within the EIT. Why not combining all in one single place?
Good questions. I don't have the answer.
Okay. Last question I see is for T2M, all the EIC Pathfinder and Transition are eligible, or is there another selection process?
Normally you apply to these services, but then no, it's you apply, but you might not be selected for the services if or at least for some service that there is some kind of selection. But I would say normally 80 or 90% of the applicants get the service. What can go wrong? But for example, you are applying for I think it's a called pitch workshop or something like that, and you're not yet there to pitch your solution or your innovation, because maybe we consider or the contractor considers that it's too early. But in general, for what concern coaching, anyone asking for coaching will receive coaching, and this is in block of 3 days up to 12 days during the life of the project. So for some services there is a selection, for others there is not.
Clear. I don't see. Yes, here it is. When the Commission invests in a project, are there any constraints on the development of the startup in terms of foreign capital?
Okay, here it's a bit difficult to answer. I don't have exactly the detail. No, in general, no. There are no constraints in terms of foreign capital, but at the moment, there are sanctions against individual and entities of specific countries linked with the current political situation, and I'm referring to Belarus and Russia. So if you are controlled from entities established in these countries or by certain individual, then you don't get funding, not even a grant, not even a penny from us.
Very clear. I don't see more questions. There is still time if you have some doubts.
Yeah, if I may add something concerning EIC transition, don't take EIC transition as a continuation. Maybe might be considered a continuation of ERC PoC, because I think the spirit of innovation on moving towards the market, of moving out of the lab, is already in ERC PoC. But don't consider EIC transition as a continuation of your consolidator or your starting grant or your Pathfinder or FET project, and so on. You really need to change the mentality. Be ambitious in your application, but realistic. If don't write anything that you might not be able to deliver, or you know already in advance that you will not deliver, or you will deliver it with 10 or 20% chances, or only half, and so on. Because we are pretty hands-on with the projects. We are having very frequent meeting with the projects. We are checking the progress. We accept failure, but not a planned failure. The experience that we are having with the Innovation Launchpad, and especially the lump sum, is that not all in the end receive the entire grants, even if the amount is small. So we really ask you to have your skin committed. It's EIC transition. It's not an equity, but sometimes we behave like investors. Certainly at the selection of the proposal, we need to see that there is a future beyond our EIC transition project, and we want to also to see that there will be something after, or at least there can be something after. Don't come with a configuration that there is no possibility after EIC transition, for example, to go to accelerator. You might not go to the accelerator, but because of different reasons. But if the jury members see in advance that this has no possibility to go beyond, it's unlikely that your project will be funded. EIC transition is still experimenting. There are some changes that are coming in the future, and expect more. we are not perfect, but we are committed to improve.
Okay, thank you. There is a new question.
I think there is an additional question.
Yes.
Is
startup necessary for the EIC transition application?
No, it's not necessary a startup for the application. Startup is only one of the possible exploitation path of your result. The exploitation path is explored and verified and consolidated in the EIC transition project during the execution of the project, but the research organization might simply decide that we'll look for a license during the execution of the EIC transition project. But of course, you need to be credible when you are presenting this in the application. You should name already that you are having talk with this and that corporate that is interested to take a license. You see, you need to be credible, because of course committing to licensing out your innovation, even a product, if the prototype developed during the transition project is a challenging task. So be credible, be concrete, name candidates, name core entities you are talking to, names, specify the terms that you have in mind. The fact that someone else will take the license doesn't mean that you don't have to describe the market, the competition, the alternatives, what is your value proposition, what is the value proposition of the innovation that you are developing, and so on. And I think you should be open to changing the path during the execution of the project.
Okay. No more questions. I don't see other. Of course, also after this event, us as NCPs, as National Contact Points, my colleagues for the EIC program can be contacted for any further question or doubt. So you can write to the email eic@apre.it for any further questions. Okay, no more question. Then I say that we can close the event here. I would like to thank again all the speakers from today, from the ERC, Anna Pelagotti and Eline Fretzlund-Völkers, and from the EISMEA, Marco Giorgini. Thank you so much for the presentation and the clarity also in the answers. From my side, that's all. I would like to thank also the participants. All the recorded, the event is recorded and will stay in the website, in APRE website, in the event page. So very soon, in the next hours, you will find the registration if you want to watch it again. I said, of course, that my colleagues from the EIC, for the NCP for the EIC, and from my side for the ERC part, of course, we are always available if you need clarifications. From my side, of course, I'm talking about the proof of concept scheme. And last but not least, I would like to remind you all, at least for those of you that are interested in the ERC, in the European Research Council program, to not to miss the event that we will organize next Monday, June 19th, from 9:30 to 11:30, which is an event where we will present the new European Research Council work program, the ERC 2024 work program. Also in this event, representatives from ERC and also from the Scientific Council will attend. So, of course, you can find all the info on, again, on our APRE website in the events section. Thank you again. I wish you a very nice continuation of the day.